Disclaimer, this podcast is just our opinions and fact gathered on the internet, and we do not wish to offend or cause any harm. Quick apologies for making mistakes we make in this podcast, whether it's saying the wrong thing, getting our facts wrong, or a bad pronunciation of names, city, etc. We also do not have the correct equipment yet, and we are calling over FaceTime overseas, therefore excuse our sound quality, and we hope you enjoy today's episode.
Hello and welcome. This is Alex Taylor.
And this is Cara Moore, and you're listening to Alex and Cara's A Gen Z Convo. Today we will be discussing toxic masculinity after we give you a 5-minute rundown of the past week's world news. Take it off.
Okay, over 700,000 people have been displaced in South Sudan due to floods, and heavy rainfall which led to floods in Nepal and 2 states in India, Uttarakhand and Kerala, have killed more than 180 people. There are a lot of floods going in our world right now. I think it's way too much. It's mostly due to climate change, and there's a conference that's going to be held in Beijing, I think.
Oh, wow.
A UN kind of climate change conference. Anyways, the Taliban agreed to a house-to-house immunization project with the UN and is set to provide security for the teams. This campaign strives to eradicate polio and aims to reach nearly 10 million Afghan children under the age of 5. So
that's wonderful to hear.
It's wonderful news, and they also agreed to female staff members, so that's also good.
That's good. That's improvement.
Yeah, and they said that because in their previous reign, they really disagreed over like Western medicine and like vaccinations, and they really didn't like that stuff. But now they're agreeing to this, and I think that's really nice.
Yeah, I mean they're far from redemption. At least they're
it's getting better. Yeah, a gang called 400 Mezzowo kidnapped a group of 17 American and Canadian missionaries in Haiti on Saturday and is demanding $1 million for each person, so a total of $17 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's not the first time that they've kidnapped people, and so I'd be terrified if a gang kidnapped me, or if I was kidnapped at all. So.
But what if the people they call for ransoms can't pay that money?
I think the U.S. authorities might step in and do stuff, and the Canadian authorities. I don't know.
Or maybe they chose specific people who they knew could pay that ransom.
Yeah, I don't know. Something's gonna happen. Something has to happen. Anyways, on Monday, a 60-day national state of emergency was announced by the president of Ecuador due to the surge of violent crime. We have an update on the Norway case from last week that Kara covered. The weapon that killed 5 people last week was apparently a sharp object and not a bow and arrow. I mean, it would have been interesting if it was a bow and arrow, but sadly it's not.
It was a little, I was kind of like, bow and arrow, really? It's not as... That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not any better, but it makes sense.
It's still tragic.
Yep.
Russia bans extremist social media movement called the Male State for the hateful posts against women and gay people. I'm really glad.
Yep.
An Indian man was given a double life sentence for killing his wife by making a cobra bite her. I didn't think this was really relevant, but I thought it was interesting because it was one of the first cobra homicides ever recorded, and it's also really terrifying to think that. Because the wife was dosed with sleeping pills before, and she was asleep when the cobra bit her. And I think he also tried this before, but couldn't do it, or it failed. Failed, right? And I think the motive was money, because she had a lot.
Did the wife not get suspicious the first time he tried to kill her with a cobra?
We can't blame the wife. I mean, she was probably
okay. She probably didn't know.
And it was very, very much first degree, because he really planned it. He bought the cobra illegally, by the way, because that's not legal. And that cost a lot of money as well. And he kept it in a container.
But that's commitment. You gotta really, really hate someone to go through.
I think money was a great motivator.
Or I was gonna say money was motivation.
CCTV cameras showed that bystanders did nothing when a woman was repeatedly sexually assaulted on a Philadelphia commuter train. The perpetrator has been caught, but this is so upsetting, and it again proves to us that we are never safe, even in a crowded place like a commuter train. And also, what is up with the bystanders not doing anything? It really shows how long we have to go as a society and how much we have to improve, really, because I thought you'd be safe on a train, like, or somewhat safe, because especially if it's crowded and if it has people in it. But if no one does anything, it's really never safe.
Yeah, it's disgusting that they didn't help, like, come in to help, or maybe they just, like, turned a blind eye. That woman could, like, that's traumatic for her, and not just a sexual assault. Obviously, the sexual assault, it's like honest, is traumatic as well. But the fact that people didn't stand up for her would also be traumatic.
It's it's really tragic. 14 people were killed in a bomb attack on a military bus in Damascus, Syria. The Islamic State militant Ghazwan al-Zabay, who masterminded the 2016 Baghdad bombing, which killed 300 people, was finally caught by Iraqi officials. There has been an update on the Gabby Petito case, which I covered, I think, weeks before. Brian Laundrie, who was Gabby's fiance, his remains were found in a Florida park. So we really don't know we really don't know what's happened. I think he might have died or killed himself. I don't know. I really just don't know. Anyways, sorry for that. Nicholas Cruz, who is behind the Parkland school shooting, one of the most infamous school shootings. I think I've heard about this a few years ago, and I was really sad about that. He pleaded guilty to murdering 17 people. He faces the death penalty or life in prison. I mean, he deserves it. He deserves it. It caused so much pain.
And it's a school shooting as well, so they're like kids.
Yeah, he killed I think a lot of students. And American
people.
actor Alec Baldwin misfired a prop gun, killing 42-year-old cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Police state that no charges had been filed. It's really sad because I think the same thing happened to. It's been compared to the death of Bruce Lee's son. I don't remember his name, but he was also tragically murdered by a prop gun. Not murdered, but killed accidentally. And I think the same thing happened. Alec Baldwin seemed distraught, according to pictures, and he also tweeted something, and he also said condolences on the tweet, and is apparently cooperating with the police. So that's good. But I think something went wrong with the production of the prop gun, and a component was added that changes the prop gun into like a real gun or something. I don't know, but something like that. And
yeah, I thought maybe it was like one of those guns that they use for like close-up shots in movies.
I don't know. Prop guns are really dangerous, and it's really important to check if it's safe before using it. And I think the director was also shot.
Oh wait, this actually links nicely. I just realized it links nicely to your topic on gun control.
Oh, I mean it's a prop gun, but
yeah, but it's still the possibility,
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little far-fetched, but I don't know.
I like that. Biden stated that the U.S. would defend Taiwan if China ever attacks. And Myanmar's government has stated that they were going to release more than 5,000 prisoners who were protesting against the coup that happened in February. Sorry, why did I say that? Okay.
February.
Never mind. Sorry for that. But yeah, that's it for the 5-minute news today. So I'm really, really excited for this topic, like I said before. Did I? Anyways, because
you did.
It really links to my last topic, and it's really interesting. Take it over, Kara.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm just gonna start off by saying that I had very, very little knowledge, little to none, basically, on this topic. Alex, you actually suggested that to me, which linked really nicely with our last week's episode, More Proof Our World's Back. which was about misogyny and its deep roots inside modern society.
I also think that it's really interesting to note. I mean, we've heard about misogyny before, and it's a topic that is more spoken about. It's still not spoken enough, but it's still more spoken about. But toxic masculinity is less spoken about, and it's really normalized, like more than misogyny. No, I'm not going to compare it like that, but it's kind of upsetting because we didn't know about it. The only reason I've heard about it was because of social media and its influences, but that's also
Social media also does play a really big role in this topic as well.
It kind of links back to our old topic about social media that you covered.
Oh yeah. See, everything just intertwines with each other at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're talking about issues that we need to talk about. Okay.
Yes. So, as I know very little on the subject, the first thing I did was Google a definition on it, and this is what came up from Google. So, a set of attitudes and ways of behaving stereotypically associated with or expected of men, regarded as having a negative impact on men and on society as a whole. So, reading this, I understood the general idea or ideals of what it was, but then I started wondering what were some of the attributes or traits of masculinity was. So once again, I put it into Google, and I got this. Aggression, mental or physical toughness, heterosexism, or discrimination against men who are not heterosexual, which were men who are not straight, asserting power over the female or weaker, quote unquote, weaker men, and generally not displaying any emotions. Now, looking at this list, we can see that the general ideals for toxic men is asserting dominance over everyone else. We also see that toxic masculinity actually takes place roots in many other society-based problems such as sexism and homophobia. So where did all of this originally come from? It was said that the idea of toxic masculinity came from about during the mytho-poetic men's movement in the 1980s, which I actually have no clue what it is. But if you have any ideas, please tell us because I'm genuinely interested. And was said to be invented, the phrase, by a man named Shepherd Bliss as a way to characterize his father.
Oh, that's actually really interesting. I didn't know that it started in the 80s. I thought it was like a really modern thing.
I think it's been around it's just been around for centuries, but it only started to be recognized and categorized like around that time, or was like recognized around that time.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, well, the toxic masculinity isn't cool, but the history behind it is.
The history, I like history.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and I understand that it really, really gives a bigger impact than we understand because we're like girls or females, you know?
Yeah.
There's just so much that we don't understand, and this is like a topic that I think I would like to dig into more because I don't have any experiences with it, and I think it's it's something that I'm touched with. I just don't know.
Me too. I had a lot of fun researching this. Yeah. There are a lot of really nice like videos and websites that you can definitely do. Alright, so far we see that the examples given may seem to be much more aimed towards men, but what we actually haven't done is take a look at how much it affects growing young boys who are taught at a very young age. So imagine growing up as a young boy and you are taught that you are not and should not be allowed to show any emotions, and doing so are a sign of weakness and make, excuse my language, but a push. Putting this corrupting thought into a child's mind not only does it tell him that how he should act and the consequence of it, but it also undermines the feminine side of the two. It put into people's mind that being a girl means that you are not strong and are too emotional to do good at something, and obviously that is completely false and super sexist. As a young child, who has not gone to education as well as a social interaction needed to differentiate between the, it can become dangerous.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think misogyny and toxic masculinity really, really links well. And it shows that I think this is all part because of it's all rooted in sexism and both of them. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and a lot of these things undermines the other genders, and like as you said in the last week's episode, it gives excuses to like men to do horrific things. So the young boys may not understand that not being strong and showing no emotion is not bad, and will try and live up to this impossible standard. Especially at a young age, showing emotion is so important to children. It allows them to easily interact with other kids and make connections outside of the classroom and family environment. And this may seem extreme, but suppressing emotion at such a young age could lead to severe mental health problems in the future that they are already developing at the time. They will find other coping mechanisms for their emotional stress, and that could be in the form of violence or alcohol. Now, I'm not suggesting that this is what it's like for everyone, but it makes sense. Humans are social creatures, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's how
That we're dependent.
that's what we are. I mean, I can't live not. I need to socialize with like at least one person in a day. I can't just sit here by myself.
You're completely right. We are dependent on each other for survival.
That's why we have social media.
Yes, another upside to social media. If boys and men are taught or manipulated into thinking that they need to be tough and can't receive help with the fear of being rejected by society, then they won't ask for help. When they are struggling with something in school or at home, they won't ask for help. When they are distressed, they will not ask for help. When they are scared, they will not ask for help. The list goes on and on, because in the world that we are living in, the list of the times when we need help are completely endless. It's a scary world, and the 5-minute news and our other topics cover that. And if they don't have the ability to ask and connect with people who need it, the only thing that it can turn to is alcohol or drugs or even like suffer in silence, which are all terrible alternatives.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I completely agree. And the thing is, I think it really links to the suicide thing that you covered last week.
That actually comes up later on.
Yeah, and it's really upsetting, and I think it really contributes. This is another episode idea. Keep in mind, we might do this, we might not, but it's really contributes to the fact that mental health isn't normalized in a way that we want it to. It's romanticized at times. That's another thing that we might cover, but it's it feels like seeking help is showing that you're weak and that you can't do anything, which is not true.
Yeah.
I mean, asking for help is such a substantial thing, and it's really a good thing. It shows how strong you are and that you can admit your faults, and it's not a fault. It's admit that you need help sometimes, and because we all do, we just don't ask for it sometimes when we.
And you're going to end up. Yeah, and you're going to end up realizing that everyone around you has wanted to help you the whole time. They just waited for you to ask.
And everyone needs help too.
Yeah. So like we stated in the social media episode, none of these things are generally bad. Just too much of them are bad. And with the endless list, the consumption of all these things will likely increase with age. They won't be able to mentally survive in a world living like this, and it can become dangerous for them and the people around them.
I completely agree. I mean, there are so many I think domestic violence cases that I've looked at because I don't know, I just enjoy knowing true crime and researching about that, and it's one of the hobbies I have. It's not a hobby. It's like a knowledge thing. I want to know about it. But anyways, I've seen so many cases, and I feel like a lot of it is rooted in toxic masculinity, and it shows how violence is so dangerous, and how if you don't and emotions, and how if you don't learn how to process them in a healthy way,
you lash out.
Yeah,
right?
And it's kind of like a uncontrollable weapon, if you get what I mean. It's kind of, yeah.
It's like you have that feeling of like power, and like you get high on that power, right? Is that where you're going?
No, I'm just saying how it kind of turns in, like unleashes into like a force that I don't think anyone wants. No
or maybe you're just so unaware of it.
Yeah, and it's really normalized, and it's really scary.
Yeah. So now that we just kind of briefly talked about the mental side of toxic masculinity, we can start to move into the much more physical side of it. Sadly and surprisingly, the statistics as well as the information are shocking. So, according to a new investigation constructed by the Pan American Health Organization, or PAHO, it says that most men lived 6 years less than most women due to societal expectations leading to risk-seeking behavior. So, according to the report, all the traits stated before about toxic masculinity contributes to higher rates of suicide, homicide, addictions, traffic accidents, as well as chronic diseases. So, diving deeper into this report, which I highly recommend reading, by the way, it completely blew my mind out of the water. It is insane the way that toxic masculinity is woven into so many things. An example of this would be from the form of machonism, or being macho. So being macho is like being uncaring and free and having an aggressive pride in one's masculinity in a very dominant way. This has led to overachieving risks such as violence against women and children, sexually transmitted diseases, and lack of shared responsibility at home. I'm just going to break these down really quickly. So, for violence against women and children, it surfaces from the need to be dominant over them and show them who's boss. Sexually transmitted diseases, the man may feel the need not to want to use a condom or get tested for STDs before starting the sexual intercourse, as he may feel like he wants to, I don't know, he might want to like have sex and not want to use a condom, and it just makes him feel more powerful or something. And he may not want to get tested for STDs, and that could obviously cause transversion of STDs or unwanted pregnancies that they may refuse to deal with later on. And finally, for lack of shared responsibility at home, would also link to the stereotypical gender roles at home, such as letting the woman do all the work and then just sitting around. As the article is quite long, I'm just going to move ahead to the next point, and I just don't want to drag it on, but I highly recommend you read more into the article if you feel the need to read more, because there are a lot of really interesting things.
I think it again kind of links to misogyny because I think being macho is something that they strive to be, and by doing that, you have to like let women like push women down and push them down so they don't achieve their full potential, or like they still achieve their full potential, but like try to stop them from reaching their full potential.
Yeah, or just like the need to feel powerful. And like sex is a really big way of like making men feel powerful. That could be another reason why for like sexually transmitted diseases. So the next and final point I want to make brings us back to our younger generations. As we know, we live in a world that is very pop culture oriented. So obviously toxic masculinity will fall into that category, ranging from social media to Netflix TV shows. Many have said that the favorable TV show Love Island Australia is full of toxic and stereotypical masculinity. Now, if you don't know about this TV show, it's
Wait,
basically
wait, sorry, I'm gonna cut in here. I think it's not just Love Island Australia, and it's also for all the Love Islands around the world because it's really similar. And and it also causes a lot of mental health issues. I think there was a case where a man killed himself because of like the mental effects caused in the show, and it's also really dramatized, and it causes problems when there needs to where they don't need any, because that's gonna get you views, and it's really upsetting because they don't care about the contestants in it who suffer through this emotional turmoil, but they just like let them, you know.
yeah. I specifically chose Love Island Australia because I found a bunch of like articles and websites talking about like this specific one, because a lot of the cast were like quit or cut out because of like how toxic the environment was. Um, and uh, the show is actually full of toxic and stereotypical masculinity, ranging from the physical attributes of lean, muscular men, to curvy, thin women, without any diversity ranging from race, body type, or sexual orientation in physical looks. To men blaming women for messing things up, or they are too emotional. This show is mainly viewed by people from the age ranges from 16 to 24-year-olds. Those are very young people. Those are young teenagers or young adults, and they may feel the need to live up to these contestants and may even become desperate and try steroids or unhealthy habits, which is actually something that before I went into some research into this, I actually talked to one of my friends who was like very passionate about toxic masculinity and gay rights, and he did say that physical attributes between toxic masculinity is really dangerous because people have been known to like try steroids or purging and developing super unhealthy eating habits just to try and live up to this physical need to look this way because of social media. Not social media, sorry. Like pop culture and even this show.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think this is like a quite similar problem that women and men face, and
Yeah.
people who don't. Yeah, everyone faces. It's not everyone. People of all genders, and it's really upsetting because I mean nothing. I mean, we're trying to be like body positive, and we've seen a lot of those movements on social media and such, but we don't see a major improvement yet. And I think we can't just like ask it to like immediately change everything in just like a second. But it's something that we all need to work towards, and I think that's really interesting because
Yeah, Alex, you actually linked perfectly into the next one I was going to talk about: male body insecurity and body image. We often forget that the male population is also vulnerable to insecurities, even if they may try and hide it. And everything that women may experience, men definitely also. This may also feel this may also feel threatened by other people and may be scared to wear certain things because they're afraid of being judged, or like wearing outfits and colors that may not be within the confinement of being manly. Like from the friend that I was talking about, he stated that certain colors, like the color pink, was for girls, and the color blue was for boys. And if he were to wear like pink shorts, then like people like would judge him for it, which is like kind of insane because like
pink is. I mean, everyone wears pink, and everyone wears. I mean, pink is not like a color that's particularly you don't. I don't know. It's just really assigned to a single gender, and I don't
yeah.
agree to that. I don't agree with that, and I think women have more freedom in colors that they wear in that kind of
Yes.
sense. So yeah, really upsetting.
Yeah, I mean, you girls wear jean shorts all the time, right? Heck, we have jeans that are called boyfriend jeans, and we wear them and don't get judged. But guys can't wear dresses or headbands. Like, just a little food for thought there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to end, what can we help? What can we do to help reduce and hopefully end toxic masculinity? First and foremost, conversations, communication, and education. My three favorite TIONs. So first, conversation and communications. Talk, talk, talk. Before we can even try and think about solving a problem, it must first and foremost be addressed. We have to admit that this is a problem, and it's like it's been around for forever, and it's probably not going to be solved for the next couple hundred years, because we're not making much of an improvement, and we're just going to have to admit that it's a problem and that we all, in some sort of way, have some sort of responsibility to try and help stop it. We also have to talk about education. Like we constantly say in this podcast, that you must educate yourself. It is so important because knowing about a subject beforehand is important. Parents and teachers or anyone should teach young boys and talking and communicating about your feelings are a good thing, and that will never be looked down upon.
Yeah, I agree. I think for this, like for these kind of topics that we talked about in the last, I mean, for all the topics that we talked about, we just need to talk, and I think that's really important. We need to educate ourselves on these topics, and we'll help you along the way because we need to do that too, and we'll do our research and we'll talk about these in our podcasts, and I think that's also really cool.
Yeah.
Education.
you educate yourself and the people around you as well.
Just
or
talk about
try to find
mention it in a conversation. It's a really fun topic. It's not fun, but it's fun to discuss.
Yeah. And if you see signs of toxic masculinity,
call it out.
Call it out. Try to help them. Maybe the person isn't aware of that.
Yeah, I think our key is education, because a lot of these topics, especially like misogyny and toxic masculinity, we just don't realize it sometimes because it's so normalized and not in a good way. And we need to speak out and we need to talk more about it.
Yeah. Also, like, sexual harassment against men is also something that is very rarely talked about. I think we actually did this in a well-being lesson in school once.
Yeah. I completely agree. There are so much we need to talk about. And I'm really, really upset about what happened to the women on the train that I mentioned earlier, I think. And the fact that no one did anything, I don't know, because it kind of relates a bit. But, yeah.
Definitely. All right, you want to move on to the fun end?
Yeah, I'm really, 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 really excited about this. I can't stress how excited I am.
All right, give it to me.
This is another continuation of the Trump story. Remember our bestie,
Our dear old friend, little Trump.
Yeah, whom we kind of made fun of / joked around with. Yeah. As Trump was banned from Twitter and Facebook after his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. Remember that?
Yes, we do remember that.
Yes, he launched his own social media network called Truth Social. It's funny that he says truth because he lies all the time. Like all politicians. They lie.
He lies the most.
A lot. Yeah, way more.
It's called Truth Social. Is he literally going to try and continue the little parade of the election was stolen from under him?
Oh, do you think he's gonna stop misinformation? Like how putting disinfectants into your body would help stop COVID.
I literally just went onto PolyFact and I found that only 3% of what he says is actually true.
Oh, maybe like his name, maybe, or is that like also fake? I don't know.
They literally added a whole other column for Trump called Pants on Fire, and 17% of what he says is like pants on fire lies.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
He didn't make America great again. He made it worse.
He entertained it for a while.
I love how
maybe not America, but other countries. He entertained other countries a lot. Wait, we need to keep an update on Truth Social. I want to see what he posts on there.
Yes, I do. No, like I feel like his tweets are really funny, especially if people call it out, because it's really, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. I don't think Truth Social is out yet, but I don't know.
Keep an update. We all have to keep an update on this.
But I feel like a lot of people are gonna join it though. I know that.
We can join it. We can join it.
We're not joining it.
Wait, but I don't want to support him anymore.
Yeah.
I actually never support him, but I don't want to.
He'll like earn money if he joins. So let's not join.
Okay, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. He doesn't need more money.
I don't know. Isn't that what people do to? Nah. He doesn't deserve a platform. We're kind of giving
at least here's the thing. At least it's a separate platform, so he can wine and dine on his own
with like his fellow Trump supporters.
Yeah, they can have their own little world tucked away, so they don't have to disturb humanity as they already have.
I love that reference. But yeah.
I'm still upset about I'm still furious about the guy who thought that sexual harassment was flirtation.
Because it's not like both towards men and women. It's both so tragic, and it happens so much between and it's also really upsetting if it happens in like the workplace and like the power balance, you know.
Yeah.
And the fact that most cases go unreported, I don't know if this is true, but I think a lot of cases really do go unreported because there is like this stigma carried around.
Yeah, because most most sexual harassment people, like the predators for sexual harassment, are people that the victim knows. So like they're afraid that people won't believe them because they're like family friends or uncles and aunts
or like bosses.
Yeah, and obviously you can't call out your boss just in this because it's the whole his word against my word, their word against my word kind of thing.
And I think sometimes it's really difficult to prove. It's also why it's very sad. I mean, at least for the women, I'm not saying I just keep mentioning her case because that's the only case I know that's like real because of my research in the 5 Minute News. Anyways, I think at least for her that at least the CCTV,
the women on the train.
Yeah, at least the CCTV caught that moment, so the guy gets arrested. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of cases do go unproved because of lack of sufficient evidence, and I think that's really upsetting.
Yeah. Also, victim blaming is a really big one.
We talked about this in misogyny, but we both hate it. Well, that's today's, and that's the end of today's video right here. Anyways, please follow us at a Gen Z podcast and check out our website because I made it and it's really, really pretty. I think so.
It looks really good. I'm really impressed.
Yeah. Well, you'll find the links to all our streaming platforms. Maybe not all of them, but I try to put everything on there. Most. And we also have a YouTube channel where we post our podcast episodes.
Yeah. I find listening things on YouTube much easier than Spotify anyways,
so yeah, check us out.
If that helps you, good for you.
Good for you. Anyways, always yours, Alex and Cara.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next week.
See you.